Imagine a goddess so powerful that even Zeus himself respected her authority. A deity who could traverse the realms of heaven, earth, and the underworld with ease. A figure both revered and feared, associated with magic, crossroads, and the whispers of the night. This is Hecate, the mysterious triple goddess of Greek mythology. But who was she really? And why did she hold such a unique position in the pantheon of gods? Welcome to the History Realm. Hecate, often spelled Hecate, is one of the most intriguing and complex deities in Greek mythology. Her origins are shrouded in mystery, much like the realms she governs. According to Hesiod's Theogony, Hecate was the daughter of the Titans Perses and Asteria, making her a member of the generation before the Olympian gods. This divine lineage placed her in a unique position, straddling the old and new orders of gods. What sets Hecate apart is her retention of power even after the Titanomachy, the great war between the Titans and the Olympians. While many of the old gods were cast down or had their powers diminished, Hecate not only retained her authority but was even honored by Zeus himself. Hesiod tells us that Zeus granted her dominion over earth, sea, and sky, a privilege shared by no other deity. But what exactly were Hecate's domains? She was primarily associated with crossroads, entranceways, night, light, magic, witchcraft, knowledge of herbs and poisonous plants, ghosts, and necromancy. It's quite a portfolio, isn't it? Imagine being the go-to goddess for everything from your late-night street crossing to your weekend seance. One of Hecate's most recognizable attributes is her triple form. She was often depicted as three women standing back to back, each facing a different direction. This trivia or triple aspect represented her dominion over the three realms, heaven, earth, and underworld. It also symbolized her ability to see in all directions at crossroads. Talk about having eyes in the back of your head. Speaking of crossroads, these were considered sacred spaces to Hecate. In ancient times, people would leave offerings to her at three-way crossroads, hoping to gain her favor or avoid her wrath. These offerings, known as Hecate's suppers, often included eggs, fish, and garlic. So the next time you're at a crossroads in life, maybe leave out a plate of garlic shrimp. Just a thought. Hecate's association with doorways and entranceways made her a protector of the home. Statues of Hecate, known as Hecatea, were often placed at the entrance of homes and cities to ward off evil spirits. Imagine having a three-faced goddess as your doorwoman. Now let's talk about Hecate's role in one of the most famous myths in Greek mythology, the abduction of Persephone. When Hades kidnapped Persephone and took her to the underworld, it was Hecate who heard her cries. She later helped Demeter in her search for her daughter, guiding her with her torches. After Persephone's return, Hecate became her companion and minister in Hades. This myth showcases Hecate's ability to move between worlds and her role as a guide and protector. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps support our channel and allows us to keep bringing you these fascinating stories from mythology. Now you might be wondering, if Hecate was so powerful, why isn't she as well known as other Greek gods? Well, that's a great question. Unlike the Olympian gods, Hecate wasn't typically involved in the dramatic soap operas that characterize much of Greek mythology. She didn't go around turning people into animals or starting wars over golden apples. Instead, her influence was more subtle, more magical. Hecate was particularly associated with magic and witchcraft. In fact, she was often considered the patron goddess of witches. In Ovid's Metamorphoses, the sorceress Medea invokes Hecate's name in her spells. It was believed that Hecate could teach mortals the art of magic, making her both revered and feared. But Hecate wasn't just about dark magic and spooky crossroads. She was also associated with wisdom and choices. Her presence at crossroads was symbolic of the choices we face in life. She was thought to be able to see into the past, present, and future, making her a valuable source of guidance. Hecate's animal associations are also quite interesting. She was often depicted with dogs, possibly because of their association with the underworld in Greek mythology. Some sources also connect her with horses, snakes, and even lions. I guess when you're a triple goddess, you get triple the pet options. One of Hecate's symbols was the torch, representing her role as a light in the darkness and a guide for travelers. She was often depicted holding two torches, which she used to light the way for Demeter during her search for Persephone. So next time you're fumbling for your phone's flashlight in the dark, maybe send a little thank you to Hecate. Another interesting aspect of Hecate is her association with the moon. While she wasn't the primary moon goddess, that honor usually goes to Selene, Hecate was sometimes referred to as a lunar goddess, particularly in her aspect as a witch goddess. This connection to the moon further emphasizes her ties to the night and to magic. Now let's talk about Hecate's family tree. As I mentioned earlier, her parents were the Titans Perses and Asteria. But here's where it gets interesting. Some later myths made her the daughter of Zeus and Hera, or of Zeus and Pharia. There's even a version where she's the daughter of Nyx, the primordial goddess of night. Talk about complicated family dynamics. Hecate herself wasn't known for having many romantic entanglements or children, unlike many other Greek gods and goddesses. However, some sources do mention a daughter named Kratis, who was sometimes identified with Scylla, the monster from Homer's Odyssey. Like mother, like daughter, I suppose. One of the most fascinating aspects of Hecate is how her worship evolved over time. In earlier periods, she was seen as a benevolent goddess, a protector of households and a giver of prosperity. However, as time went on, her darker aspects became more prominent. By the Hellenistic period, she was strongly associated with ghosts, necromancy, and witchcraft. This evolution reflects changing attitudes towards magic and the supernatural in ancient Greek society. As these practices became more feared and marginalized, Hecate's image shifted from a protective household goddess to a more sinister figure of the night. Despite this shift, Hecate remained an important deity throughout antiquity. Her mysteries were celebrated in several locations, most notably on the island of Samothrace. These mysteries were secret religious rites that promised initiates special knowledge and protection. Hecate's influence extended beyond ancient Greece. In Roman mythology, she was identified with the goddess Trivia, whose name literally means three ways, and refers to the crossroads Hecate was associated with. The Romans continued to leave offerings at crossroads, a practice that persisted well into the Christian era. Speaking of Christianity, it's interesting to note how some aspects of Hecate's worship may have influenced later religious practices. For example, the tradition of leaving offerings at crossroads has parallels in some folk Christian practices. Some scholars have even suggested that Hecate's triple form may have influenced the concept of the Holy Trinity, although this is highly debated. In literature and art, Hecate has been a source of fascination for centuries. She appears in Shakespeare's Macbeth as the goddess worshipped by the three witches. In modern times, she's been featured in numerous works of fiction, often portrayed as a powerful and mysterious figure associated with magic and the supernatural. But Hecate's influence isn't limited to fiction. In modern pagan and Wiccan traditions, Hecate is often honored as a goddess of magic and witchcraft. Many modern practitioners leave offerings to her at the dark of the moon or at crossroads, continuing traditions that are thousands of years old. So, what can we learn from Hecate? Perhaps she reminds us of the power of liminal spaces, those in-between places and times where transformation is possible. Or maybe she teaches us about the importance of guidance and protection in dark times. Or perhaps she simply reminds us that even the most mysterious and feared aspects of life have their place in the grand scheme of things. So, the next time you find yourself at a crossroads, literally or figuratively, remember Hecate. Who knows? Maybe she's watching, ready to light the way forward with her torches. If you enjoyed this dive into the mysterious world of Hecate, make sure to subscribe to the channel for future updates and check out the video above for more stories from Greek mythology. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us bring more of these fascinating tales to you. Until next time on the History Realm.